Hey guys, this is Sam, and today I've got more to show you in regards to what's new in iOS 11 Beta 2. I waited a while to make this video because I figured that more stuff would be discovered, and sure enough, there's a lot more to talk about. If you managed to miss my first video, I'll leave a link down below in the description, and of course up here in the top right-hand corner of the screen. But let's go ahead and jump into what else is new in iOS 11 Beta 2. Alrighty, so first up, if we head over to the Photos application, you can now drag and drop multiple items. It's pretty easy to do, just tap and hold to make one wiggle, and then you can tap around on the screen to select other photos. And there's also a nice little bubble in the stack telling you how many photos you've selected. The problem is you can't do a whole lot with these photos once you've selected them and combine them to a stack, because drag and drop is only limited inside of the Photos application. So I guess you can drag it into another folder because you can tap around, but it's not like the iPad where you could tap and hold on these photos and then send them to Twitter or put them in a Facebook post. You're just restricted to the Photos app. So maybe at some point in the future, drag and drop will be enabled system-wide on the iPhone, but until then, we will just have to dream. Also new in the Photos app is when you tap to view a photo in that full screen view, the button in the top right hand corner of the display used to be called Details. That has been renamed to Edit. Moving on, if we go ahead and jump over to Safari, there are two new changes here as well. So in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you're going to see this tab icon, and if you tap and hold on that, in iOS 11 Beta 2 you get two additional options. In addition to just New Tab and Close Tab, you can now close all of your currently open tabs or create a new private tab just by tapping and holding. Also, a very cool feature for non-plus size iPhone users, if you rotate your iPhone, in iOS 11 Beta 2 you get this tab view at the top that looks almost identical to how it does on the iPad. Before, that was exclusively limited on the iPhone to plus size users, but that works on the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6s, and even smaller sized iPhones like the iPhone SE now. Next up, inside of Settings, if you tap on General and Keyboards, there's a new option or a new preference panel just for one-handed keyboard options. You cannot select it or always have it enabled on the right side every time you invoke the keyboard, or always invoked on the left side every time you pull up the keyboard. I don't know how useful that's going to be unless you really have a hard time typing, but on the iPhone 7 it just makes the keyboard really small, and it's not something that I see myself using a whole lot. And if we back out to the main portion of the Settings app and scroll down just a little bit until we can see our Siri preference panel, there's an option here called Press for Siri that I want to say was included under accessibility settings or somewhere else in iOS. That has now been relocated to the direct Siri settings panel. One of my favorite new features in iOS 11 is how screenshots work. So before, you would take a normal screenshot and then always had to go into the Photos app to view it, to share it, to edit it, or do anything else. Well, in iOS 11, when you take a screenshot, you just tap in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen and you can mark it up or edit or share straight from there. And in iOS 11 Beta 2, Apple's made it even easier to share it. Without even tapping on it and going into the expanded view, just tap and hold on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen on that screenshot and the Share Sheet dialog will pop up, which is super handy. Now inside of this is a system-wide feature, but now that it's here, it's a great time to talk about it. There's a new Save to Files option in the Share Sheet. Once again, this isn't limited just when sharing screenshots. You'll see that pretty much across iOS and most of the pop-ups that you interact with, and when you tap on that, you can save it to a specific area within the Files application, iCloud Drive, and hopefully in third-party services as well, which is pretty handy because now you can really narrow down where you want to save files. Heading back to the home screen, in iOS 11 Beta 2, there's a new animation when you swipe down to go to that lock screen notification center hybrid that not a lot of people are really a fan of, but regardless, the animation looks incredible. And once you're on the lock screen, if you're playing music, the music app dialog or pop-up here got a couple of changes. The AirPlay option is now enabled on the lock screen every time you go there. That's new in iOS 11 Beta 2. And across iOS, that volume slider is a lot bigger. It was really small in iOS 11 Beta 1, or at least a lot smaller than it is now. So Apple blew it up, made it a lot bigger. It's definitely bolder than before. Finally, in iOS 11 Beta 2, if you swipe up to enable Control Center, the low power mode toggle no longer glows yellow. I was a big fan of how it looked. For example, if you tap on Do Not Disturb or the rotation lock, those animate and they turn a different color. They look really nice to me. But for whatever reason, in iOS 11 Beta 2, low power mode's toggle doesn't glow yellow anymore. It just blends in white with the rest of Control Center. So those are more changes in iOS 11 Beta 2. There's so much to talk about. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like down below. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I've been Sam. I hope you guys are doing great, and I'll talk to you later.